Hey guys and gals, it's the Cannabis Crone. Hope you guys are having a beautiful, um, it's either Wednesday or Thursday. I really honestly don't know what day today is. It's Wednesday, right? Yeah. Anyway, whatever. It's a weekday. I do know that. So I hope everyone is enjoying their whatever day it is, or whatever day you want it to be, actually. You know, nowadays we could switch them around if we wanted to. I mean, you can have Friday 3 days in a row if you choose. So anyway, I just wanted to talk like a little bit, do a mini pod. I won't try not to waste more than 5 minutes out of your day, but I just wanted to talk about relationships during coronavirus. Um, I was speaking with my daughter earlier, and I've noticed that everybody seems to be in conflict these days, including my Parmakai and I. We struggle because everything is so new. Everything feels so uncharted right now in life. And so it's terrifying. Um, I'm terrified, not so much for myself, but for my grandkids. And I think we all are feeling just really very vulnerable and very open to attack almost. And we don't have a government that we can count on. We don't have a government that we can trust to help the American people, even though that's what government is for in the first place. Otherwise, we'd do better living in anarchy, because there's no services, no help with anarchy. It's uncoerced community cooperation. So basically, anarchists, if they want to help somebody else, they will, and if they don't, they won't. I mean, it's so. But the thing about anarchy is at least you have your own way. There are so many people that don't have a choice in where they live, or what really they're going through in their environment, especially if you live in an apartment complex, if you are in a city surrounded by thousands and thousands of people. So relationships become very important during a time like this. Now, this is just for people who are with somebody else. But I've noticed a lot of people are really struggling with their relationships. And a couple of things that could be helping that strife right along is the fact that for many of you, you've never spent this much time together. And that's not a joke, that's serious. Say you have a couple where they both had jobs, they both had things they had to do, and you basically, I mean, how many hours? You maybe had 4 quality hours, if that, spent together on a daily basis during the week. Or even weekend. I mean, depending. Some people work every single day. They don't have a day off. They can't afford it. And that's something that, unfortunately, I think the elite that are controlling the Senate, they don't understand that. They don't understand that some people can't even afford to take a day off. So it wears on a relationship. And like I said, my own, we have issues. We are snapping at each other. Luckily we don't hold on to things like we used to. I mean, both my partner and I could hold on to a grudge until Judgment Day, So that's something that we both have to deal with. And we let go. You have to. We would still be mad at each other for something that happened 5 years ago if we hadn't learned to let go. So that's something, every day is a new day. Are there certain things that you can't forgive? Well, sure. And every person, hold on, Evie, it's just a deer. We have deer that love to walk through our yard, and I think Evie gets mad because they don't ask permission first, because she's such a little guy, right? They're harmless. The deer, we have a deal. They don't go into our garden. We don't have a fence. We only use Irish Spring around the garden, and the deer stay away from it. And I leave them vegetables in the compost, so that's kind of like a little smorgasbord at the other end of the yard for them. Keeps them away from the garden, it keeps them satisfied, and they've held up to their end of the bargain for over 10 years. I've never had a problem with them getting in to our corn or peppers or tomatoes, anything. So you can definitely live in harmony with nature. You just have to find a way to communicate. Anyway, back to what I was talking about, relationships. And that was a great segue. Communication, that is key. One of the things that I recommend people do, and I actually was a life coach for quite a few years, and relationships often did pop into the coaching sessions when you're life coaching someone who is navigating their way out of poverty. That's a big part of a person's life, is if they have a life partner. So the biggest tool, I think, for being conducive to healthy communication is building the alliance. And I'll just go through it. It's real simple. You and your partner choose a time when you're both in a good mood, definitely, and sit down and talk about ground rules for your relationship. Now, when you are building the alliance, you come up with a list of ground rules that you both agree to. And any ground rules that you don't agree to, you discuss very rationally. So, because there are certain things that they're called non-negotiables. We all have them. There are certain things that are very important with people. Like for me, a non-negotiable is, if the relationship is over, so be it, tell me, but don't cheat. That's like a non-negotiable. Like, I don't think, I've already made it quite clear that that's one thing that I don't adhere to, but neither does my partner. So it's something that we both, our non-negotiable happens to be compatible. Sometimes they aren't compatible. Sometimes you may have a non-negotiable, like, somebody may say, you can't ever go on vacation without me, and yet the other person needs to have a vacation by themselves to be able to refocus. Stuff like that. Those are the things that have to be decided upon, whether or not they are going to be a non-negotiable or whether it's something that you can concede upon. And you know what? Everyone has non-negotiables, and that's kind of why building an alliance when you first get into a relationship is a really great idea, because right off the bat, you know whether you are compatible. A question that I think is real healthy to ask yourself during this time right now is looking at your partner and asking yourself the question, is this person making my life harder or easier during this worldwide crisis? Because if you truly think that you would be better off on your own, survival-wise, then there are some major issues with your relationship, and it probably would behoove you to talk to someone who does mediation, someone who does couples counseling. You can still Zoom that kind of stuff. So, that's something to really think about. Or even some people are very spiritual or religious, so talking to your spiritual guide or elder, whether it's a minister or a priest or a shaman or a priestess, or a rabbi. Those are things that, if they're things that make you stronger, then, and that's part of your life, and it's a very strong part of your life, then go to religious counseling. Whatever you think is going to help you learn to communicate better, because that's the key, especially during these times. These are not normal times. We are watching our civilization crumble before our very eyes. So you need someone who you can trust and who is not going to make your life harder during this already horrible time. Another thing I want to encourage everyone is to try and be kinder, a little softer, and a little gentler with your partner and with yourself, and talk. You have to talk. You have to tell each other what's going on in here, and how you're doing. Check in with each other every morning when you get up. After you've had your coffee. Some of you really need coffee to communicate. I empathize. So, but after you've had your coffee, check in with each other. Hey, how are you feeling this morning? How are you doing? Because these are traumatic times, and we don't necessarily have counselors at our disposal if we don't have medical insurance, which many of us don't. So maybe you can do a little bit of self-help between the two of you by agreeing to check in with each other every morning and every night. Hey, how was today for you? Because seriously, this is a very traumatic time, and we all, I think every single American has a case of PTSD right now. I absolutely wholeheartedly believe that. I believe every single human being that isn't a trillionaire, that isn't one of the 1%. The rest of us, we are all dealing with post-traumatic stress syndrome, all of us. This world has, a lot of us have had our bubbles crushed, and we are opening our eyes, some of us for the first time, and seeing what's really going on. And so we're all dealing with trauma. And some people are dealing with it better than others. So if you have a partner that is your life partner, and that you trust, and that you want to develop a stronger relationship with, this is the time to really sit down and sharpen those communication skills, come up with your alliance, set your ground rules, make it like 5 major ground rules for your relationship. And it's always good to decide ahead of time how you're going to fight. How are you going to argue? If you're arguing, there's got to be ground rules, right? And I know this sounds silly, but you set the ground rules, and then you agree to abide by them. Because if somebody absolutely does not abide by them when you are fighting, again, that's a communication problem, and you might need to speak to somebody or reevaluate your relationship. But if you agree ahead of time to have these rules, then you yourself can learn how to argue better and more compassionately, because the rules are telling you, okay, there's no name calling. So you know that you get it burned into your brain that you cannot name call during this argument, so or no sarcasm, use a code word, timeout or whatever, and say, okay, from this point on, no sarcasm. We need to be totally honest and open. There are a lot of different ways that you can argue in a constructive manner. And one good thing to keep in mind always is that every day you have to wake up and make a new commitment to the person that you are living with. You have to commit to that day trying to be a bit of a better person, a little more kinder, a little more gentler, and a little more understanding. And if you do that intent every morning, it's going to make you appreciate your partner all the more, and vice versa. So those are a few little tips. But it always helps to try to find somebody that is in alignment with you and your partner, that can be an outside influence, somebody that's looking from the outside in, and that doesn't favor either partner, a mutual friend, sometimes bringing them into the fold and, talking it out. You can get a different perspective about the particular problem that you're arguing with. Because if I'm looking straight ahead right now, I see a forest, a bunch of big pine trees. There's a squirrel running around, a couple of birds, but you're not seeing that. What you're seeing is behind me. And that is, you're seeing maybe the roof of the house, and you're seeing the leaves behind me and stuff. So if I were to tell you what I was seeing, and you were to tell me what you're seeing, we would both be right, and we would both be wrong, depending on our perspective. Because just because I'm seeing a different version of what you're seeing doesn't mean they're wrong versions. They're both right to what we are seeing at the time. So sometimes having an outside perspective, someone who sees it from all angles, can help. It can help make the communication a little bit easier, and then you have someone there that is, kind of keeping track of the ground rules. So just remember, this time is so hard for all of us. We really need to make sure that we're with the person that we're supposed to be with. That's very important. Make sure that you both have beliefs that are in alignment with each other, make sure that the trust is there. And if it's not there, but the relationship is something that you want to pursue, then you have to find ways to build that trust up. So I hope everyone is being a little kinder and a little gentler with themselves and their partners, and stay healthy and strong. Namaste.